Hello YouTube, this is Balamage again, and we're coming at you with like a TLDR of the things that I'm excited about for the 0.2 drop of Path of Exile 2. We've had some time to sit after watching the whole announcement, after watching the whole Q&A, after looking into a bunch of stuff, and there's some stuff in here I am pretty excited about. This is a lot more than I thought. Let's jump into the first and most important thing, the thing I know people are going to ask about. Did we get anything for minions? So there is one class that might have something for us for minions, the Lich. The Lich, instead of Infernalist, is going to drop us some spirit. We're going to lose 60 to 80 spirit, maybe 100 if you were like fully min-maxed. However, there are two specific nodes that will make up for that. One is Necromantic Conduit, which essentially just gives you and all allies Unholy Might, and then Blackened Heart, 4% increased magnitude of Unholy Might. We did the math on this. If you can get yourself 6,000 mana, which we don't know how the rebalance is going to go, so we don't know how hard that'll be yet, but if we can get ourselves about 6,000 mana, then we'll be looking at roughly 102% damage as extra chaos, which is essentially doubling all of our damage and making it chaos. So that, mixed with the fact that we're going to have specters and the option to pick chaos damage specters, those two ascendancy nodes on their own could just straight up double the damage. That could end up being pretty cool. That's probably the class I'm going to start with, and I'm probably going to play with specters a bunch. We'll see. But let's move on to some of the bigger things, because only a small group of people care about minions. So moving on, some things I'm real excited about. Real excited about crafting. Is it going to be all the way there? I mean, it's certainly not at PoE 1 levels, but we got a huge influx of stuff for crafting, way more than I was expecting. I do not think this is everything they'll be adding, but the first, one of my biggest complaints is with no crafting bench, the runes don't really do that much. They're pretty good on day one and pretty for the most part. In a lot of cases, they're not really exciting. Runes now have 3 tiers of runes, which means they will now be relevant in the endgame. The higher tier ones will now be good, and now that we can replace them at will, they actually do fit into the design space of a crafting bench, except without it being a crafting bench anymore. So this new league start, we will be able to use just throw runes in, and then later on when we're in better gear, more in the endgame, throw new better runes in. On top of that, we have some new very specific runes that are like high tier ones that they're called talismans, but they slot into specific gear that will let you do a bunch of very specific things. We do not know what most of those are. One of them is rage on hit. That's fantastic. There will be a bunch of those. We don't have the specific list. We are also going to get way more essences, as well as specifically way more greater essences. Not only will we naturally getting way more greater essences, there is unique maps for way more essences, and we're able to corrupt essences now with just Val orbs to potentially make them go up a tier, including into our 4 corruption tier essences that we've used from PoE 1. So those, fantastic. Then we're also going to get significantly more omens. At least 2.5 times the amount of omens that we used to have. My concern would be that's probably still not enough, but it is certainly significantly more than we had, so I will take it. Also, they introduced fracturing orbs, so now we're going to be able to get one good mod fractured and then craft our piece around that. It will make chaos spamming on things that are like really important single mods, like really high tier spirit, or +3 to level of something on an amulet, or just some really important mod, being able to chaos spam around that will be a lot better. And last, but absolutely certainly not least, the most exciting part, recombinators. They have added recombinators into PoE 2. It was confirmed during the Q&A with Ziggy that recombinators will work a little bit differently. Specifically, we will be able to pick the things we're trying to merge together and tell the game, hey, I want this mod and I want this mod over here. And it'll even tell you a percentage chance of success. So the more mods you're trying to join, and potentially even the higher tier or more rare those mods are, we don't know the specific rules yet, but there will be things that'll affect it. But most importantly, the percentage chance of a successful outcome will be shown to you in game. So you're going to know if the thing you're trying to do has like a 6% chance of success or like a 70% chance of success. And that's going to be huge. So that is probably not all the crafting we're ever going to get. It's almost certainly not, but it is significantly more than we had, because what we had was nothing. So very happy about that. All right, moving on to the end game. A lot of stuff changed in the end game. For starters, we'll start very broad. 100 new support gems and 100 new uniques is insane for the first patch. That is way more support gems and way more new uniques than I was expecting. Extra points, the new uniques this time are heavily focused on mid and end game, whereas the first set of uniques we had were mostly focused on early stuff. A lot of feedback came from all the uniques are kind of garbage. All the uniques are just these leveling ones. And they acknowledged that in this, whatever you call it, stream they did. And were like, yeah, just the way the list was set up, a lot of the low value ones were there and just getting worked on first. And we thought we'd get through enough of them that it wouldn't matter, but we didn't get through enough. So now we've decided to change our focus and make sure we've got end game chase uniques and some good mid game uniques built in. So there's a ton of those. The Coming Calamity is one we saw that is just absolutely disgusting. I'm sure there'll be plenty of others. So there's a ton of those coming. Also, a bunch more unique maps that look very, very cool. There is, what have we got? The ones we were shown were something I can't pronounce, megalith map, where you have to like touch a murder stone over and over again and go through 10 consecutive waves of map bosses that get harder and harder and harder, that get really good rewards at the end, and all the normal boss loot for killing each boss the whole way along. Very cool, unique map idea. Like, love that. We've got Fractured Lake, which is just like the Lake of Calandra, but hopefully not shit this time. And we got shown Crystalline Caverns, if I've pronounced that correctly, which is a unique essence map, which is essentially a map full of essences that you can corrupt with Varlorbs to get even more essences out of. And every time you unlock one of the essences, and if you corrupt them to a tier higher, they'll merge those copies of those essences into the boss, and you create yourself a big boss, big man essence who will fuck your shit up. And what we will do as exiles is we'll hit every single essence, so we'll corrupt all of them for the maximum tier, and then we'll break the boss out. It will kill us, and then we'll cry about it. And that's the way I'm going to handle that. I don't know about you. Moving on, they introduced 12 rogue exiles, which, if you haven't seen the announcement, doesn't sound like a fantastic thing. Like, ooh, rogue exiles. Except the rogue exiles in this game look fantastic. It will feel like real PvP, apparently. They're going to be like real exiles. They're going to intentionally dodge your abilities. They're also going to be relatively squishy, unless, of course, they've got uniques on them that make them not squishy. And they can wear real copies of our real uniques in-game. Those uniques will be listed on them if they have them. And when you kill them, if they were wearing uniques, those uniques will drop on the ground. So if you find one with a really powerful unique on it that makes it really hard to kill, if you kill it, that really powerful unique will drop on the ground for you. That's fantastic. That is absolutely fantastic. Love that. Okay. That was new content. Now, I'm gonna do a different chapter for like reworks, I guess. Now, onto the big things. They have reworked a lot of the existing endgame. For starters, we have 40 passives on our regular Atlas tree instead of 30 now. That's fantastic. We also unlock them a different way. The very, very, very boring quests of complete 10 tier 1 maps, complete 10 tier 2 maps, complete 10 tier 3 maps. Gone. That was very boring. Big fan. Instead, we'll be chasing corrupted zones and trying to kill there was a specific word for it, I've already forgotten. Hopefully our editor can put it on the screen. But the king corrupted part, the main bit of corruption that will be a specific map in the middle that like houses the source of that corruption for that area. And killing that will get us passive points. You'll have to just go up in tiers like normal. So that's a way more interesting thing. Also, when you kill that, it will cleanse all of the corruption around that area, and that'll become new cleansed areas, which are the maps where you get fractured orbs in, amongst a bunch of other things. Looks very cool, has a lot of currency drops rather than more gear drops. That looks really cool. Then, one of the largest complaints, one of the very largest complaints anyone's ever given. Towers are terrible. Everybody hates towers. Good news, bad news situation. Bad news, they didn't get rid of towers entirely. Good news, they did make the problem significantly better. Like, they improved this so much. We'll have to play it to find out how much. But the TLDR is there will be 1/3 as many towers as before. So we'll only have to run 1/3 of the amount of towers that we did. Those towers will now be full maps with tons of added content into them, bosses, so they'll give map returns, they'll have like proper things in them. All of the mechanics that can spawn will all be in the towers. Fantastic, they'll be proper good maps. But also, the tower itself can be twice as strong. If you're doing tier 16 maps, it'll give 100% increased effect of the tablets that you're putting in, and the tablets are twice as strong, meaning your actual tower usage becomes 4 times as strong, except it can also activate 3 tablets at once, which makes it 12 times as strong, but 1/3 as many of them. So that's way better. I think that we're going to enjoy that. We'll have to play it before making any guarantees, but I think that makes towers far more manageable. We'll have to run far less of them and then use 3 tablets at once to mega juice the whole area. So I'm hoping that feels much better. Some things that were also changed, you will be able to die in maps and re-enter them. For starters, if you were running just a white tier 1 map, you would get all 6 portals, right? Obviously we're not going to do that, but that would start at 6. You will progressively get less and less portals up until you're running full tier 16 6 mod maps. At that point, it will still be 1 portal per. I would like it to still be 2 portals per at that point. I would like for the only time for it to drop down to 1 portal is if you're corrupting maps into like 8 mod corrupted ones. If you want to do super giga juiced maps, living with 1 portal seems fair. I would love to see that push just a tiny bit further personally, so that we go from 6 portals at tier 1 maps to like 6 mod tier 15 maps being 2 portals now, and then the corrupted highest end being 1 portal. That would be my personal choice. I would much prefer that. Otherwise, one more thing that was not covered in their announcement was confirmed in the Q&A with Ziggy D. There is a massive, and we do mean massive, overhaul of absolutely like balance of the entire endgame. pretty much at this point, you should assume that every single build that was fantastic, not going to be that fantastic anymore. And everything that was subpar, hopefully significantly better. There will still be a ton of broken builds. I absolutely guarantee 100% there will still be a ton of broken builds. The idea of this is that they will not be the exact same broken builds that we were just playing last season. So whatever broken stuff there was, forget about that. It is now a race to find the new broken thing. I'm going to be racing with everyone else. We will all collectively forget everything we know and learn all of the new stuff. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope a lot of people come back and give it another shot. If not, I'll see you next time around. That's all I have, and I will see everybody next time. Bye-bye.